Ida, for wanting to go to the funeral of a girl that I helped get addicted to drugs? Alright, so I've been going back and forth on this for days, and I need some outside perspective because my head's a mess. I'm 26M, and I want to go to the funeral of a girl I used to know, but I'm worried I'd be stepping over a line. The thing is, I played a really awful role in her life, and I don't know if showing up would be selfish or disrespectful. I'll try to explain everything as clearly as I can, but this is heavy, so bear with me. I know some of this is going to make me sound like a total asshole, but I'm trying to be honest here. For context, I've been clean from heroin for 3 years now. I'm proud of that, but I'm not going to act like I'm some saint because of it. Before I got clean, I was a complete piece of shit. Like, the kind of guy you'd cross the street to avoid. I was using, I was dealing, and I was just lost, I guess. I didn't care who I hurt as long as I got my next fix or made enough cash to keep the cycle going. That's who I was when I met Marcy. Marcy was this girl I got with about 5 years ago, right when I was starting to spiral hard. She was 22 at the time, drop-dead gorgeous, and honestly way out of my league. Long dark hair, these big green eyes, and a laugh that could make you forget how screwed up your life was for a second. She was working at this dive bar I used to hang out at, and we'd flirt a little when I came in. I was charming back then, or at least I thought I was. Looking back, I was probably just manipulative, throwing around money and acting like I had my shit together when I was barely holding it together. Anyway, one night we got to talking after her shift, and she ended up coming back to my place. She knew what I was about. She'd seen me deal at the bar, and I wasn't exactly hiding the track marks on my arms. But she didn't seem to care. A few weeks later, we were together, if you can even call it that. It was more like we were both caught in this toxic whirlwind, feeding off each other's bad decisions. She'd party with me, do lines, smoke weed, whatever, but she wasn't into the hard stuff. Not yet. I hate typing this out, but here's where I fucked up, and I'll carry this guilt to my grave. One night, we were in my apartment, high as kites, and she asked me about heroin. She'd seen me shoot up before, and I guess she was curious. I should have shut it down right there, told her to stay the hell away from it, but I didn't. I was so far gone, I thought it'd be, I don't know, some kind of bonding thing? God, that sounds so stupid now. I prepped the needle, tied off her arm, and shot her up for the first time. She looked at me with this mix of fear and awe, and I felt like I was in control, like I was giving her something special. What a fucking idiot I was. After that, Marcy was hooked. Like overnight. I'd seen it happen to other people, but watching it happen to her was different. She started needing it, begging me for it, and I kept supplying her because I was her boyfriend and her dealer. I told myself I was taking care of her, but really, I was just keeping her dependent on me. Our relationship turned into this sick cycle where she'd stick around because I had what she needed, and I'd keep her close because it made me feel less alone in my own mess. We'd have these fleeting moments where it felt like love, her head on my chest, talking about running away to California or some other fantasy. But they were always drowned out by the reality of what we were doing to each other. This went on for about a year. By the end, Marcy was a wreck. She'd lost her job at the bar, her friends had stopped talking to her, and her family was begging her to get help. I wasn't much better off. My debts were piling up, and I was paranoid all the time. Then one day, I hit rock bottom after a really bad overdose. I ended up in the ER, and somehow, that was the wake-up call for me. I checked into rehab a few weeks later, and I haven't touched the stuff since. It wasn't easy. Detoxing was hell, and I had to cut off everyone from my old life, including Marcy. I didn't even say goodbye. I just blocked her number and ghosted. I told myself it was better for both of us, but honestly, I was just too much of a coward to face her. Fast forward to 3 years ago, I'm clean, working a decent construction job, and trying to piece my life back together. I'm not gonna lie, I think about Marcy a lot. Not an I miss her way, but an I hope she's okay way. I felt so much guilt for what I did to her, introducing her to that shit, abandoning her when I got out. I check her Facebook sometimes just to see if there was any sign she was still alive. Her profile was mostly private, but every now and then I'd see a photo of her family or a random post about her working at a new job, and I'd feel a little bit of relief. Like maybe she'd made it out too. Then, about a year ago, I got a message from her out of the blue. I was sitting on my couch, scrolling through my phone, when I saw her name pop up in my Facebook inbox. My heart legit stopped for a second. I didn't know what to expect. Maybe she was going to cuss me out, or worse, ask me for money or drugs. But it wasn't like that at all. She said she'd been clean for a few months and was working on rebuilding her life. She told me she didn't hate me for what happened, that she'd made her own choices too, and that she hoped I was still clean. It was short, maybe 3 sentences, but it hit me like a truck. I sat there staring at my phone, tears streaming down my face, trying to figure out how to respond. I ended up typing out this long, rambling apology, telling her how sorry I was, how I'd never forgive myself for what I did to her. I hit send, but she never replied. I checked her profile a few times after that, and it looked like she was doing okay. Posts about her new job at a coffee shop, pictures with her mom, that kind of thing. I didn't reach out again because I figured she'd said what she needed to say, and I didn't want to push it. I was just grateful she was alive and seemed to be getting better. Then last week, everything came crashing down. I was at work, taking a break when my sister called me. She sounded weird, like she didn't know how to say what she needed to say. She told me she'd seen a post on Facebook from one of Marcy's friends saying that Marcy had OD'd and passed away. I couldn't process it. I mumbled something to my sister, hung up, and went to the bathroom at work so no one would see me lose it. I cried so hard I thought I was gonna puke. All I could think about was that message she sent me, how she'd been trying to claw her way out, and now she was gone. And deep down, I knew I played a part in it. If I hadn't given her that first hit, maybe she'd still be here. I found out from my sister that Marcy's funeral is this Thursday at a church in our hometown. It's going to be a small service, just family and close friends. Ever since I heard about it, I've been torn up about whether I should go. On one hand, I feel like I need to be there, not to make a scene or anything, but just to say goodbye and pay my respects. I want to sit in the back, keep my head down, and leave as soon as it's over. I don't want to talk to anyone or draw attention to myself. I just need some kind of closure, you know? I've been carrying this guilt for years, and I feel like going might help me face it, even if it's just a little. But on the other hand, I'm terrified I'd be intruding. Marcy's family probably knows who I am, or at least they know I was the guy she was with when she started using. I don't think they'd want me there, and I wouldn't blame them. I mean, if I was in their shoes, I'd probably hate me too. What if me showing up makes it harder for them? What if they think I'm there to clear my conscience or something? I don't want to cause any drama or hurt anyone more than I already have. But at the same time, I keep thinking about how Marcy reached out to me last year, how she didn't seem to hold a grudge. Maybe she wouldn't mind if I was there. I don't know. I talked to my sister about it, and she's no help. She just said, do what feels right, which is the most useless advice ever. My best friend from rehab, Jake, thinks I should go, but keep it low-key. He says I deserve to say goodbye, but he also warned me to be ready for people to give me dirty looks. My mom, who knows the whole story, thinks I should stay away. She says it's not my place and that I should let Marcy's family grieve in peace. I get where she's coming from, but it stings because it feels like she's saying I don't have a right to grieve too. I've been losing sleep over this, replaying every moment with Marcy in my head. That first night, I shot her up, the way her eyes lit up before they glazed over. The fights we had when she was jonesing and I didn't have enough to give her. The way she looked at me sometimes like she was begging me to save her even though I was the one drowning her. And then that Facebook message, her telling me she didn't hate me. I don't know if I believe her or if she was just saying that to make herself feel better. All I know is I can't stop crying, and I feel like I'm drowning in guilt all over again. So, Reddit, aita for wanting to go to Marcy's funeral? Am I being selfish for needing this closure? Or is it okay for me to show up as long as I'm respectful? I don't want to make things worse for anyone, but I don't know how to live with this if I don't at least try to say goodbye. What do you guys think? Update. All right, so I feel like I owe you guys an update after all the feedback I got on my last post. First off, thank you to everyone who took the time to comment, even the ones that were kind of harsh. I needed to hear all of it, the good and the bad, to get my head straight. I was in a really dark place when I wrote that, and your advice helped me think things through more clearly. I'm trying to follow through on being accountable in all parts of my life, even the random internet ones, so here's what happened. The funeral was this past Thursday, and I was a wreck leading up to it. After reading through the comments on my post, I realized I couldn't just make this decision on my own because my emotions were all over the place. I took a lot of the advice about talking to people I trust, so I brought it up with both my therapist and my sponsor. I've been seeing my therapist for about 2 years now, and my sponsor's been with me since I got clean 3 years ago, so they know my story and how much guilt I carry about Marcy. My therapist was pretty gentle about it. She asked me a ton of questions like why I felt I needed to go to the funeral, what I thought it would do for me, and how I'd handle it if things went south, like if Marcy's family got upset seeing me there. It was hard to answer because I kept circling back to this gut feeling that I had to be there, like it was the only way to make peace with what I did. She didn't tell me what to do outright, but she made me think about whether going was really about honoring Marcy or just trying to make myself feel less guilty. My sponsor, on the other hand, didn't hold back. He's this older guy, been sober for like 20 years, and he's always straight up with me. He told me flat out that going to the funeral would be a bad idea, not just for Marcy's family, but for me. He said being around that kind of grief, especially with people who might know my history, could mess with my head and put my sobriety at risk. He wasn't wrong. I've been to funerals before, and they can hit hard, especially when you're already feeling raw. He suggested I find another way to grieve, something that wouldn't stir up drama or tempt me to spiral. By the time Thursday rolled around, I was still a mess. I barely slept the night before, and I kept flip-flopping between wanting to just show up to the funeral anyway and knowing deep down it wasn't the right move. I also got to be honest, there was a moment where I thought about using again. Not seriously, like I wasn't out looking for a dealer or anything, but the thought crept in, you know? That's how bad I was feeling. But instead of doing something stupid, I listened to my sponsor's advice and decided to get out of town for the day. I grabbed my dog, Max. He's this goofy mutt I adopted a couple years ago, and we just hit the road. I didn't have a plan at first, but I ended up driving a couple hours to this quiet beach I used to go to as a kid. It's not some fancy place, just a stretch of sand with a few rocks and seagulls that'll steal your sandwich if you're not careful. Max and I just hung out there all day. I let him run around chasing waves while I sat on a blanket, staring at the water and thinking about Marcy. I cried a lot, but it wasn't the kind of crying where you feel like you're gonna break. It was more like letting it out, I guess. I talked to Marcy in my head, told her I was sorry, told her I wish things had been different. It sounds cheesy, but it helped. I also brought this little notebook I've been using for therapy stuff, and I wrote her a letter. My therapist suggested it a while back as a way to process guilt, and I figured it was a good time to try it. I wrote about everything. How I met her, how I fucked up her life, how I'll never forgive myself for that first shot I gave her. I wrote about how I hoped she was at peace now, and how I'm trying to be better, even if it's too late for her. I didn't read it back or anything. I just folded it up and stuck it in my pocket. Maybe I'll burn it one day like my therapist says some people do, but for now, it's enough that I got it out. Being at the beach with Max kept me grounded. He's got this way of knowing when I'm not okay. He'll just plop his big head in my lap and stare at me until I pet him. By the time the sun was setting, I felt a little less like the world was crushing me. Don't get me wrong, I'm still not doing great. This week's been rough, and I'm still carrying all that guilt, but I'm managing. I went to an NA meeting yesterday, and talking about it with people who get it helped a little. I didn't go into all the details, but I said enough to feel like I wasn't bottling it up. As for Marcy's family, I haven't reached out, and I don't plan to. A lot of you pointed out how much it would hurt them to hear from me, and I get that now. I was so caught up in my own feelings that I didn't think about how my showing up, or even sending a message, might rip open their wounds. They're grieving, and they don't need me making it worse. If they ever reach out to me, I'll be honest and take whatever they throw at me, but I'm not going to force that on them. That's pretty much it. I'm just trying to keep moving forward one day at a time, like my sponsor always says. Thanks again for all the advice. It really did make a difference. Take care, everyone.